I'm Gary YouTube from Cultaholic.com and welcome to another flavoursome slice of some Gary YouTubing. This time as we rank not every single, 35 of the bigger and better WWE stipulations that WWE do. If we did them all, we'd be here until lockdown ended. And that's a long way away apparently. Joining me today is a standing Gary YouTube. He's got legs. Wow. Gary. How are you?
I'm doing good, Gary. My good lady, the love of my life, Gary YouTube, is at work today. So I've got the home to myself and our cat, Gary YouTube. So I'm making use by stretching my legs, because I've been sat at a computer desk for several hours, and just nice to have my kitchen there as well. I like people to think that I live in some sort of IKEA showroom. So there we go. There's a
lovely fitted kitchen. How marvellous is that?
A lovely fitted kitchen. I don't know I'm born, do I? Middle class Gary YouTube over here.
You're a better Gary than I though, because I'd be on the couch just bollock naked. Missus has gone out, get it all out. Imagine, you ever seen that picture of Tommy Dreamer where he mocks the Shawn Michaels naked? That's that sort of vibe.
That's a beautiful
With that
image,
fresh
mate.
in your minds, let's hit the intro. Intro man, while you think of me naked. So just in case you haven't been here before, we've got some 35 WWE stipulations. We're going to put them in tiers, ranking from the best, lovely, all right, just about bearable, and get in the bin. And we're starting off here, Tom/Gary, with something huge, and that is a strap match. Your thoughts on a strap match?
Oh, okay. I find, and this is going to be controversial, I find the way that you win a strap match to be pretty farcical. Which is what bumps this down for me. The idea of hitting all four corners, which is the traditional way that one wins a strap match.
Yeah.
There obviously have been exceptions to the rule, aka the fully loaded strap match from 1999. But majority of the time, a strap match is touching the posts, and I can think of one occasion where. No, even that occasion was the same. Like there's only one real way you can have a jeopardy-laden finish in a strap match, and that's having one guy touch a corner, the other guy touch the corner on the slide, another guy touch the corner, and the other guy touch the corner on the slide, all the way around, and then you fight for that fourth and final corner. It's a very limited match type, so I kind of want to start the ball rolling by upsetting the veterans of the wrestling world and saying strap matches could get in the bin.
I fully agree. I was so relieved though. I think was it this year when Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan had their strap match? Was it the Rumble, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Bloody hell, that was this year. I was so relieved when that one wasn't like it's a knockout, touch all four corners, and then Keith Chegwin comes out and says, well done. I was happy that was just like a brutal, you're tied together, there's nowhere to go, beat each other. That's all right, but by and large they are, as you say, touching all four corners for the win. It's a bit, you would think it's brutal, and I bet the ones in the 1980s were, but when WWE do them, what was the fully loaded one like, sorry, because I can't remember.
That was good. Rock and Triple H were just were fantastic workers at that point, and it was just a way of mixing it up with those two as they were feuding in '99, and it was a really good match. I would highly recommend it. In terms of but then you've got like spin-offs from the strap match, like the bull rope match is the cousin of the strap match, and there's been I think this is an old wrestling historian thing. They tried to make The Rock's personal gimmick match a Brahma bull rope match. They wanted to, there's a few wrestlers that have their own gimmick matches, and they wanted to give The Rock his own one, and they pitched the Brahma bull rope match. I know there was at least one Brahma bull rope match, but everyone just went, nah, you don't need one, he's The Rock, just put him wherever.
Yeah, that seems a bit of a strange gimmick to give The Rock as well, because what does a Brahma bull rope look like compared to a normal rope?
I think it's just, I can't remember if the Brahma bull ropes, I know that there was the bull rope match at Great American Bash 04, which had a cowbell on it, and that was Eddie Guerrero, JBL. That was good fun. That was quite a gory affair, and a finish that genuinely broke my heart as a smarky wrestling fan at the age of 20. And I was just like, oh, why is JBL the champion? Spoiler. But in general, the match doesn't really light my world on fire, the traditional strap match.
I'll tell you what, though. Just because you've named two fantastic examples, I'm going to suggest we put it in just about bearable, because there's going to be a lot worse to come, Tom. There's going to be worse to come.
Well, bear in mind, I would argue those two are, with the exception of actually the fully loaded strap match is a strap match. But even that, the rules are different. If there's worse to come, do we push it up to just
We can move it at the end. If there's not worse to come, we can move it at the end.
For now, we stick to our guns. We get that sucker in the bin.
We're getting it. All right. Calm down. Very passionate.
We're starting strong this week.
Next up, we're moving on to a ladder match, and it's a discussion that belongs in one of the top two tiers. It just depends which one, Tom.
Well, surely the ladder match. It would take something incredibly wrong with the Cosmos to have an appalling ladder match. Like, I know great ladder matches. I know good ladder matches. I don't know any terrible ladder matches.
Was it the WrestleMania one that was a bit? The Money in the Bank ladder match I'm talking about here at WrestleMania 26. I think that was a bit.
But even so, it wasn't bad. It was just a bit. Like, it wasn't appalling. Like, it was. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a really, like, a ladder match where I've just gone, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I mean,
that's the thing, isn't it? Even when they're bad, they're still quite good. Because it's just a three. I know you might say once you've seen one, you've seen them all, but, you know, it's still very exciting, isn't it, towards the end of a match where one guy's climbing. How do you feel on the climbing, the slow climbing that only wrestlers can do?
Never get a wrestler to change a light bulb.
Best?
I want to put it in the best. I think there's been so many seminal wrestling moments that have been born out of a ladder match. So many careers that have been galvanised because of a ladder match. And I think that the concept itself, even in this day and age, as jaded as we are in this day and age, whenever a ladder match is announced, we all go, whoa, ladder match, cool. Like, there's still that innate part of you that goes, ooh, ladder match, that means it's going to be fun, you know? And I think it deserves to be the best. I think it's one of the best, you know, the best gimmicks that has ever been in WWE. So it has to be in the best.
That's the thing, is it? Was the first one 1992, the Bret Hart Saskatchewan malarkey?
Yeah, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels had some ladder matches on house shows. You can watch them on home video releases and stuff. Obviously, Shawn and Razor revolutionised it. In '95, Shawn and Razor had another ladder match, but they were told that they couldn't use the ladder as a weapon. And the creativity that goes into that match and the fact that it still comes out as a good match is testament to how great those two are.
Yeah, but ladder matches, they are still one of the corner posts of WWE as we're sat here in 2020 after debuting the year I was born.
Oh.
And I'm an old man. So next up, Tom, we're moving on to a tables match. And I've said this before in this video already, it might be a common theme throughout, but once you've seen a table match, you've seen all the table matches, have you not?
Yeah, it's like with a strap match, you're quite limited in terms of how you finish. I guess all you can do is find a way to finish in an aggressive fashion. Like up the ante. Go through 3 tables, go through 4 tables, go through 4 tables off the stage, on fire. You can up the ante in that regard, but it's difficult to have sort of creative elements to a tables match. In my experience. Not that I've experienced table matches, but yeah, there's a limit to them. But having said that, they're not all bad. Like they're happy. Like the Hardys Dudleys Royal Rumble 2000 stands out as a great ladder match. Which was the ladder match?
Tables, Tom.
Was it Cody Big Show? The tables match they were in.
Where Big Show just put his massive leg through it.
And this is the thing about a tables match. Is that the one issue that knocks it back a bit for me is the wild inconsistency of the booking of it, in the sense that it's like sometimes it'll be, oh, you have to put through both members of a team, but both members of the team are still actively involved even when they've gone through a table, or it's elimination. Once you go through a table, you're out of the match. Or the big one is you have to be propelled through the table by your opponent, which would therefore negate Big Show losing by putting his foot through a table, for God's sake. And Sheamus, who pushed John Cena. Was it Sheamus who pushed John Cena off of the top rope.
Yeah.
And he fell through a table that way, or Cena fell off the top rope, and therefore, the rules are so loose and fast. I want to put them in. I want to put them in the middle tier.
In the middle, I think it's in the middle. They are fun. It's always fun seeing someone getting put through a table. But as we said, they are a bit limited as to what you can do. Yeah. And when they do try and do different things, as we're talking about with the Big Show and Sheamus and Cena from when Sheamus won the title for the first time in that match, didn't he? When we're talking about them, they're a bit naff, aren't they? But you know, the concept is what it is. It's a fun stipulation. Next up, naturally, we're going on to what might be just the best of the TLC individual sections, Tom, and that's a chairs match. And I'm only saying this, Tom, because we'll mention the Big Show once again. I am here for the Big Show having a massive chair compared to everyone else's normal sized chairs, because he's the Big Show, and of course he's got a massive chair.
Oh, get in the bin.
Completely agree.
It's pointless. There've been so few of them, so it's hard to really, get a purchase. But the ones I've seen have really not set my world on fire. Did Cena and Barrett have one? A chairs match? I seem to remember at TLC they had a chairs match. And
probably, Tom. You'll know better than me. I can't remember that one off the top of my head.
I'm sure they had a chairs match. And whilst you have more variety of finishes, because it's pinfall, but it just happens that chairs are legal. Whilst you have a greater variety of finishes, you are it's still just a very dull match type, really, to bring in. It's great when they do it when there's billions of chairs. That's always fun when you go over the top for it. But Big Show with a massive chair. It's part of the reason why they should get in the bin. I don't need a chairs match.
That's the thing. It's a weird stipulation to put on when we've become so numb to seeing chairs being used as a weapon. There's a brawl going on in the ring. What's the first thing someone grabs at ringside? It's a chair. Exactly. They're just readily available. They're everywhere. Why have a stipulation? Doesn't feel special. And it's weird as well, because chairs, when you hear a wrestler speaking about taking a weapon shot, they always say the chair's the worst one to take. You just have to grit your teeth. And was it DDP speaking to Joe Rogan when he was like, we just have a meeting backstage and I'm going to hit you really hard with this chair, and you're just going to go, fine. Just make sure you don't knock my teeth out or something. Be fine. Whack.
It's funny how the chair became a wrestling trope. I'm not sure the origin of it. Yeah, I'm not sure the origin of why we decided as a community that one weapon is gonna become the trademark of professional wrestling, a metal folding chair. That's the traditional image that people have when they talk about wrestling, is somebody coming at you with a metal folding chair.
I had never seen a metal folding chair in real life apart from wrestling when I was growing up. When did you see your first folding metal chair, Tom?
My first metal folding chair was at the Swan Theatre in Worcester in 1993.
He's actually giving a serious answer.
I only remember it because I was going in to go. It might have been 93. It was basically I was in a show at the Swan Theatre. I was in a performance of Jack and the Beanstalk at a very tender age, and I was in the choir, and I was a wrestling fan. And I remember seeing somebody who, when we went backstage, it was a guy who let people in through the back who were in the choir. And it was a guy who was always sat on a steel folding chair, and every time I walked past him, I went, "Oh, it's like a wrestling match." That was my thought, my 10-year-old thought. I think I was 10 or something like that. But anyway, it was that was my overriding thought was, it's like a wrestling match. And I seem to remember the one day he wasn't sat there, and I gave genuine thought to folding it and picking it up and pretending to be a wrestler. I didn't. I bottled it, but part of me wishes I had.
That's the only part of your life you could have got away with doing that. Now you'd be just like security guards would chuck you up because you're a grown man.
Yeah, so this is a Chiquitos. I'm going to ask you to leave. Oh, no. Banned from another Tex-Mex restaurant.
I think that's closed down, hasn't it, because of the pandemic?
No, don't tell me that.
I think it has. I'm not too sure. I'm sorry if I'm
sorry.
I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Hope you're wrong.
We're moving on, Tom, to TLC.
Oh, there you go. Here we go. It's got to be the best.
It's got to be the best.
It's got to be the best. The downside is that it did spawn the chairs match by proxy, but it's the best. It really is. It sadly became, and there'll be a few others in this list as we roll through it, one of those matches that just got overused, and they kind of the use of a TLC pay-per-view it sucks because it means that you get this really cool gimmick that is now shoehorned into different rivalries unnecessarily. But every time there are TLC matches, they're always a memorable moment. Do you remember the story as to how the TLC match came about?
No, I do not, Tom.
Ah, wow.
Fill me in.
Well, this is the storyline world. It was in the run-up to SummerSlam 2000, and you had the Dudleys attacking Edge and Christian and the Hardys with a table. You had Edge and Christian attacking the Hardys and the Dudleys with chairs. You had the Hardys attacking Edge and Christian and the Dudleys with ladders. And it was Mick Foley, who was the commissioner at the time, who said, you bring your chairs, you bring your tables, you bring your ladders, and this SummerSlam, it's going to be tables and ladders and chairs. Oh my! So it was originally a Wizard of Oz gag. Tables and ladders and chairs. Oh my! But obviously now it's just TLC. You know, very much say well, KFC is now just initials. TLC is just initials. But that was the origin of it, and it was a cool. And so it was born. That match was born out of 3 people with 3 different gimmicks, and all the gimmicks coming together. So yeah. I always feel like when they just sort of throw it into a match because of reasons, it's a bit lost. Regardless of that, the match itself, always loved it, and it's the best.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because if you've started watching wrestling over the last sort of 5 years, you'll be thinking, what on earth are we talking about here? Because now it's become one of those gimmick pay-per-views where you have to wait to December to have a TLC match, and that when December comes around, by and large, the TLC matches haven't been that great, have they? But we're talking, go back to early 2000s, WrestleMania 17, all that stuff.
Well, back when the TLC matches had numbers, like they were so rare. Like you had TLC, then you had TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17, you had TLC 3, which I believe was on SmackDown, and it was Hardys, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, and Jericho and Benoit. And then you had TLC 4, which was on Raw in 02, which featured, gosh, that was a real hodgepodge of teams.
Kane was in that one.
Kane and the Hurricane were a team in that one. I think Bubba and Spike
Christian
were a team in that one.
Jericho, I think, were in there.
Yeah, Jeff was. Who was Jeff with? Can we remember?
I've got no idea. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
yeah, that was a hodgepodge. But then they sort of became a bit more frequent following that, so they stopped numbering them.
That's the thing. When they more frequent.
Jeff and Rob Van Dam.
Whoa,
there we go.
A sexy team that is.
I scratched the memory chip in the back of my head, and there it is.
Become more frequent, lose a bit of their chutzpah, we'll say. Mm-hmm. But now, Tom, I want you to finish this sentence for me. Tables, ladders, chairs, and...
Would it be stairs?
It is. Oh, Can you remember such thrilling stairs matches such as Rowan versus The Big Show? That's a thing that happened.
Now, with that match, I have to say, they gave it the old college try. Like, those weren't 2 guys that phoned it in that night. They went for it. It was just crap. But but they went for it. Like, you could tell they actually went and thought, let's do our best with this. But it's going in the bin.
It's got to go in the bin, hasn't it?
No, do you know what? And you made a really good point a few minutes back about how chairs are just traditional weapons. So incorporating a chair making a chairs match, it doesn't feel special in the same way that the steps are used quite often as weapons. So making a stairs match where the stairs are legal. What are they not normally? Because most matches somebody gets hoyed into them. Like, are they not normally? How much do you think the stairs really weigh? Because that's always a bone of contention with me.
They do look hefty, but they're definitely not the £50,000 Michael Cole would claim they were every single week.
They keep changing weight, don't they?
What was the actual number he used to say? Because I just elaborate because that's what WWE do. But
I can't remember. I just know that Michael Cole would always sell the strength of whoever was lifting them up as Hercules-like. Like having to lift these steps that it took at least 2 men to put down earlier and then put in the back of a car. It's just whenever you see them bounce, you realise they're probably not as heavy as they're making them out to be. When you see someone like John Cena take all the like you see all the veins popping on Cena's arms as he lifts it over his head and throws it out of the ring at somebody, and then you watch it go badoing, badoing, badoing.
That's a bit of DDPY, that man, Tom. That's a bit of dynamic resistance.
Is that what that is? That explains it. I thought there was something amiss.
But stairs matches, but they just belong in the bin, don't they? There's a reason they haven't done them all too often, and that's because they're crap. Next up, Tom, First Blood.
Ooh.
A stipulation, obviously, we don't see too much these days because we're not all PG now. Some of it's TV-14, I guess, but we're not as TV-14 as we used to be back in the Attitude Era. We had Austin versus Kane, where that dastardly Kane would cover up both of his arms and wear his mask against Stone Cold with his massive bald body.
That's true. Yeah, that was cool. I think there was an Undertaker Austin one which was similar, which was I think it was First Blood. I think, but I mean, with that one at least you can be a bit more creative with the finish. I don't think I've ever seen the same finish to a First Blood match twice. But are they interesting matches?
I like the jeopardy they put Austin in that example with
in
Kane.
That particular one, King of the Ring '98. Yeah, that's a forgotten moment from King of the Ring '98. Everybody talks about Mankind being hoofed off the cell, but then you had that match that you said there with Kane covering his whole body up and a baby bald Austin going into a First Blood match.
Do they go above a tables match, Tom? I'll make it simple. Do they go above a tables match?
I think a table match is far more interesting than a First Blood match.
I would agree as well.
So I want to put it in just about bearable.
Just about bearable, I think is fair. Because it would be so effective if they brought it back today, though. If a feud got to the point where a First Blood match was the answer, could you imagine that in WWE this day and age?
Oh, no, you can't. But then, like you say, because we don't see it, if there was the reason to do it, if there was the impetus to do it, it'd be great. Yeah. It would really make an impression if you were to bring it back now, and have it settle, pun intended, a blood feud. Do it that way. But I think there was a point where they were quite frequent, and there was, I think was it TNA that did a last blood match? I'm pretty sure it was a TNA.
Probably Tom.
Last person to bleed wins. TNA in its hot mess era is one of my favourite.
They love doing things in reverse, don't they?
They do. They certainly do.
So next up, we're moving on to Elimination Chamber, which some people find a bit divisive. I personally, I like it. I like it.
I like an Elimination Chamber, unfortunately, it suffers the same fate as others on here, which is it's just now become like a standard thing. Like it doesn't feel like Elimination Chamber doesn't really feel like it doesn't feel as special as it used to because there's now been so many of them. And like they busted out the first Elimination Chamber was at 2002, Survivor Series 2002, and it was a cool place to do it. Shawn Michaels with his half-finished ring gear winning the thing. And then the next time you saw it was at SummerSlam 2003. So the chamber moved around. You had one at New Year's Resolution, and then it just kind of became. For a while, it was in February, and it was like the last stop before WrestleMania, where it was like, hey, if a Raw guy won the Rumble, then the SmackDown will have the Elimination Chamber, and they'll have to go through hell against 6 other people to get a title shot at WrestleMania, and it felt like that was like the final stop on the way, and that was cool. And now it's just like, oh, it's February, Elimination Chamber time. You, and then you. Go on, in you get. It lost a little bit of its luster for me. I think Kofi sort of brought a little bit of that back last year in the Elimination Chamber he was in when it came down to him and Bryan. But that was more about the passion for Kofi.
That was a proper throwback match, that was, though.
Yeah.
Good baby face against dastardly heel. You cheer the good guy, you boo the bad guy. Lovely wrestling 101, but I agree. It's a problem WWE have put on themselves, making these gimmick pay-per-view a thing. They've got to wait until a certain point of the year to have a match rather than letting a few dictate the match types you use.
And I don't get it. I mean, that's why it's weird, like how a pay-per-view like Backlash shouldn't feel fresh, but it is, and it's fresh because it's not a gimmick pay-per-view. I feel like almost everything now is gimmick pay-per-views. Extreme Rules, Money in the Bank, TLC. I feel like the Survivor Series, which is, well, I know it's a staple, but be that as it may, like they feel like they're all gimmick pay-per-views, and like you say, it ruins that element of build. Like you'll have like on multiple occasions, Roman Reigns has been thrown into a Hell in a Cell match with somebody he's feuding with, and the feud isn't ready for a Hell in a Cell. The feud doesn't need a Hell in a Cell, but it's Hell in a Cell o'clock, so bust it open. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But same with Elimination Chamber. And different to the ladder match, in the sense that I can't think of anything less than a good ladder match. I can think of some crap elimination chambers.
2015, the tag team one. Woof.
Oh, the one that Ryback won was pretty ropey too. Sorry, Ryback, but it's true.
Yeah.
I want to put it in. Oh man,
lovely. I think that there's been some fantastic ones and some fantastic moments as well, but that it can't go in the best because of the few crap ones we have seen. So I reckon lovely. It's just about fair enough.
I think the good ones have been so good that it deserves to be lovely.
And of course, Lucha House Party reimagined the Elimination Chamber match earlier this year. Of course,
didn't they, Tom? They did, when they sticky back plastic themselves to the ceiling.
And next up, Tom, we have what might just be the most contentious stipulation on this tier ranking thingy. We have the Hell in a Cell match, which we've already discussed by and large, because now we have to wait until September, October to have a Hell in a Cell match rather than letting the feud dictate. It's lost its luster. We have the Seth Rollins Fiend match, which sort of took Hell in a Cell, the very concept of it being the final worst stipulation you could ever have in WWE, and going, oh no, that's a bit too dangerous inside Hell in a Cell. We'll have to stop the match there. Oh. So it's been ruined, so it has, the Hell in a Cell, because when me and you were growing up, Tom, that was it. When you heard the words Hell in a Cell by Vince McMahon or whoever it was, you know someone was going to just about die. Mm-hmm. But now it's not.
Do you watch The Simpsons?
I've seen The Simpsons on occasion, yeah.
Okay. The Simpsons, phenomenal for the first 10, 12 seasons or whatever.
9. I've seen 9. Richard Tubman says 9.
Okay, well, whatever Tubbs says goes. For the first bulk of seasons, Simpsons is phenomenal. And because it is so overall beloved, it keeps coming back. And they've run out with they very much ran out of ideas with it. And they are rewriting it, reworking it, chucking stuff in for the hell of it, just trying to reimagine it, but nothing's clicking, nothing's staying. And it's losing a lot of its luster. Hell in a Cell is like The Simpsons. Because when Hell in a Cell started, like you say, that guttural cry of Vince, Hell in a Cell, would just, whoa, this match is going to be, whoa. And now it's like, oh, it's October, and then we have the one with the Fiend. Let's make the cell red. I mean, okay, it doesn't need a cosmetic change because it's intimidating enough, but all right, fine, it's your train set. End by stoppage. No, that's the whole point of Hell in a Cell is it's like this feud has got so bad that it simply cannot, it cannot be contained by a normal match. We have to put a cage around these guys and let them get it settled once and for all. We need to finally get like the end result, and because it's now just become the pay-per-view they do at a certain time, it suffers from that thing of, it's Hell in a Cell o'clock, you two, you get in there and you fight in the Hell in a Cell. Rusev and Roman Reigns, go on. I know you don't need the Hell in a Cell, but get in there. And also like The Simpsons, I feel like Simpsons is now at a point where it's been, and I'll still watch it, don't get me wrong, like Hell in a Cell, but Simpsons has now been crap for longer than it was good. So there's been now more crap episodes of The Simpsons than good episodes. In the same way that I'm sorry to report that there's been more crap years of Hell in a Cell than good.
Yeah, and that's where the contention lays, Tom. Where does it go? Because obviously if we were sat here, I don't know, even as far as 2008 maybe, I think we'd be saying the best. But now, it's fallen a long way.
I want to put it based on current experience, not on legacy. I want to put it in Meh.
I'll put it in Meh as well. It's lost everything.
That's going to be a bone of contention with a lot of people, and I welcome the discussion, but I've got to put it in Meh. Would you watch the newest episode of The Simpsons and go, that's the greatest TV show of all time?
Absolutely not. So next up, we're moving on to the Punjabi prison.
Bin. What's next?
It's a bin, isn't it? It's a massive big bin.
I hate, right? It's not that I'm stupid. I don't think I'm stupid. But I can't deal with matches that have so much admin. You have to fight. When you want to leave the Punjabi, the first cage, you have to notify a ref who will hold a cage door open for 60 seconds. When the 60 seconds is up, they close the door forever. If all four shut, you have to go over the top. And then there's a table of weapons that you have to use in a certain order. And then Kali comes out and stops you anyway. And you have to fight him off. It's just visually ugly, spiritually ugly. In terms of like the dynamic of it, it's ugly. It started limping, right? It came out of the blocks limping because it was meant to be Kali Undertaker, and it was during the if you think the pandemic's bad, you never lived through the elevated enzymes era of wrestling. Jeez. And it was during that time, and Kali had elevated liver enzymes, and he couldn't fight in the match against The Undertaker, so the Big Show had to do it instead, and the Big Show was crying about being in a Punjabi prison, and neither of them knew the rules, and it was just bad. Oh, and if the match quality was good, that's fine. But you look at the killer's row of Punjabi prison matches there's been. Undertaker and Big Show, Batista and Kali. And then, did we have Orton and Jinder Mahal?
Yeah, and that's when the great Kali came out and lifted Jinder's WWE title as if it was his own. A fantastic moment. But I tell you what, visually, I like it, I think it looks really scary.
You can't see anything! That's a fan, like, oh, it looks lovely, that. What's going on? I ain't got a Scooby-Doo, but I love looking up bamboo. I paid $40 for a ticket to watch two squiggles moving around some bamboo.
It's not even bamboo, it's steel made to look like bamboo. It's an amazing structure.
It's plexi bamboo.
I tell you what though, Batista flourished in his Punjabi prison match. He is Mr. Punjabi prison as far as I go. He would fly around that thing for a man of his size and stature. Anyway, I think we don't need to talk about this anymore. Punjabi prison, firmly in the bin.
Oh, firmly in the bin. Never, just dismantle it. Put it on the fire.
Yeah. Speaking about fire and things that aren't really the visual is much better than the match itself, the Inferno match. Where do you stand on Inferno matches?
They're not used very often, and that's probably why they hold up relatively well. Like you say, visually impressive, very limited in terms of what happens in the ring. Like, you'll never have a 5-star Inferno match. A lot of these matches you can have a 5-star match in. You know, the Hell in a Cell, as ropey as it's been, there is the room to have a 5-star Hell in a Cell match. Incidentally, during the Hell in a Cell match, we never gave the love to the Armageddon Hell in a Cell match, the 6-way Hell in a Cell, which Rikishi fell off the top of onto a hay truck. Right, done that, said that, moved on. With all those other matches, you have the ability to have a 5-star match. I don't think it's possible to have a 5-star Inferno match. You can obviously have 5-star matches that don't involve bouncing off the ropes. You know, that's what you can. Bloodsport proves that. But at least with a Bloodsport match, you're not likely to get second-degree burns if you roll slightly to the left or slightly to the right. Very limited. Be that as it may, visually impressive. And you know what? Right for a feud. Like, the first one was born out of Kane and The Undertaker, and Kane being burned alive. So it's a reaction to that. Their match made sense for it to be an Inferno match. It felt like a big thing. And then anytime they've used it from there, I think it's mainly been Kane's match, so it's kind of a gimmick match that suits Kane and Kane's style. Kane tends to lose because he's normally the one that has the most clothes that can conveniently catch fire.
MVP got set alight once, which I remember watching that live, and it made me go. So it did, Tom. Terrifying. Remember when he got his back set on fire?
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I do.
But I tell you what, have you seen I don't know who it was being interviewed. It was perhaps Kane. I can't quite remember. But he said that being in that match is the hardest match he's ever been in because the fire around the ring would burn the oxygen in the ring. So you're like walking would cause you to be like, because there's no oxygen inside the ring, so it's being burned.
I didn't even thought of that. I didn't thought of that. I feel like this match needs to be just about bearable, because it is to the people competing in it. It's just about bearable. If they can't even breathe when they're in there, when you're sucking breath while you're in there, my days. And it's not
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I don't think it's not overused, which is a relief. And when it does come out, it always looks impressive. But I don't think you'll ever get a good match out of it. I think just about bearable.
Yeah, the moments, obviously Undertaker diving over the top rope, and that certain things do stick out, but by and large they are a bit like, whoa, look at the pretty fire, but not much happening inside the ring. Triple H and Kane was a good one as far as I can remember. Was that
was from SmackDown, wasn't it? That was the 10 Trials of Hercules episode of SmackDown for Triple H, where he was told he had to face everybody in their gimmick match in one night. That was a wild episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
That's where the Brahma Bull Rope match came from.
Bloody hell, it all ties together. How lovely. Next up, we move on to something, Tom, which I wish they would bring back. Not yearly, but once every couple of years would be lovely. The Championship Scramble match.
Ooh,
I love a Championship Scramble match. Do you think the rules of a Championship Scramble match are hard to follow?
No, whoever gets pinned is the champion.
Yes. Tell that to the commentators back in 2008, for goodness sake. All that annoyed me so much. It was terrible. So easy to understand, but they couldn't get it for whatever reason. Brian Kendrick, of course, the most famous combatant in the history of Championship Scramble matches. He was WWE champion for a few minutes there.
That's the bit I think everybody remembers, is the fact that he was the champion for a little bit of time.
Yeah, what a shame he didn't see it through until the final bell, which of course is when that happens. Whoever has the pinfall there, whoever had the last pinfall, they win, don't they? It's simple. Anyway, Tom, what are you thinking for Championship Scramble matches?
I think because now obviously I've said
fun.
Previously that I'm not a fan of matches with too much admin. I don't think there's too much admin in this. I think it's quite normally for me, if you can explain a match type in a sentence, then you're fine.
Yeah.
And I guess with that one, but maybe just goes over a sentence. But I want to put it in. Do you know what? Because you're such a fan, because we're friends, I was going to put it in meh, but I want to put it in lovely, lovely, lovely for you.
Let's put it in lovely, lovely, lovely. There can only be, on paper, big pay-per-view ones, there can only be about 2 or 3 in the history of WWE. They haven't used it at all, have they?
No, I don't. And I think it was born out of there was a hardcore championship match at WrestleMania 2000, which was a similar rule where it was just 15 minutes hardcore scramble, whoever's pinned at the end is the champion. So it was born out of that, and there was some good fun to be had with that. I always remember my 2 memories of the scramble match are obviously Brian Kendrick being WWE champion, rock on, and the moment at the end of the ECW one where everybody's playing all pile on. Everyone's just jumping in to try and get the pin and to win the belt at the very, very end, which was adorable.
I think there was one. I think it might have been the first match on the first Raw after WWE became WWE, just so the commentators could go, and the new WWE Hardcore Champion, just to get in the words WWE, the letters WWE, so many times so early and nice that people knew you're watching WWE.
Do you know what? I don't know for definite if that is a thing. It wouldn't surprise me, but I like business stuff like that. I like brand stuff like that. I should work in a brand department. I like brand integration like that.
Lovely. Royal Rumbles, Tom.
Oh, the best.
The best.
The best. What it is. No matter how jaded you get with wrestling, Royal Rumble is always a highlight of the year. Every year. I think Rumble season almost replaces WrestleMania season.
It's my favourite event of the year.
Yeah, it's my favourite. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah.
The build to the Rumble.
This year's men's match especially was just it's timeless. Pat Patterson, who of course is the man who invented everything, including the Royal Rumble, is an absolute genius. I don't think we need to say any more about that. Otherwise we'd be here all day. Royal Rumbles are great. Yes. Everyone knows that. If you don't like a Royal Rumble, imagine if you didn't like a Royal Rumble. Imagine. You'd have to be very jaded to not like a Rumble.
If you want a good Rumble to watch whilst you're in isolation, obviously Rumble 92 is in there. I can highly recommend that. Also, I would highly recommend Royal Rumble 1998, which I don't think enough people talk about. I like that one. Steve Austin going in, everybody hated Steve Austin because he kept attacking them. So just because Austin was going through full-on arsehole phase before he became the WWF champion, and he was just randomly attacking people in the weeks before Royal Rumble. So when his music hit, everybody in the ring stopped fighting, turned and faced the ramp, we're all going to have him. And then he appears behind and just starts brawling with everybody. It was brilliant. Tyson was loving it in the box at the very top as well. Royal Rumble 98. There you go. There's one for you.
Cold Stone. He's missed it. Anyway, beat the clock challenge, Tom. Beat the clock challenge.
Oh, beat the clock. Beat the clock. So
this is just a thing that happens on a Raw more than anything else.
Yeah, it's more like a number one contenders type thing, isn't it? It's a way of just deciding a top contender. It's fine in concept. I think the problem that you have with a beat the clock challenge is it potentially buries people or potential future matches. It has like a sort of a Survivor Series match type effect, in the sense that for some reason in a beat the clock challenge, very basic signature moves suddenly become 10 times as powerful. Like I've seen people win in very quick order with very basic moves in beat the clock challenges, and so it does potentially damage potential matches and potential other people. You do see decent wrestlers sort of thrown into a beat the clock challenge and get wiped out pretty quick, which sucks. But it just, I'm fine with it. It's as a random thing to happen on a episode of Raw. It's like a fresh, faster way of doing a tournament.
Yeah.
I think from my experience, as much I love a tournament, but the history books will tell you that fans get bored of tournaments, especially one-night tournaments, which is devastating. So like a beat the clock challenge is kind of like a tournament that's a bit quicker and with a bit more jeopardy. So I'll put it in meh, personally.
Happening all right as well. We've got First Blood below beat the clock and Inferno below beat the clock.
But again, I think again that comes down to variety of conclusions with those.
Yeah.
Like with beat the clock, there's a multitude of ways in which you could beat the clock. Like whereas an Inferno match, you're quite limited as to what you can do. How about an Inferno beat the clock challenge? Whoever wins their Inferno match faster. Actually, I don't say that out loud, just in case Vince Russo starts booking again. I don't want to give him any ideas.
Rumours? I saw them on Twitter, because we're sat here on Friday morning, the night after Paul Heyman was removed from his position. I saw rumours online saying Vince Russo's coming back to WWE.
You know what? 2020 is a wild drug, and I'm not putting anything past it anymore. Why not? Why not?
Because it's awful.
That's why. Exactly.
We're moving on, Tom, to 3 stages of hell.
Oh.
And you give me Austin Triple H, you give me Michaels Triple H, and I say thank you very much.
If you want to see where this desire for these epic showdowns comes from in NXT, you only need to look to the guy at the top of it. Like Triple H blooming loves a 3 stages of hell epic, like a 50-minute war that just goes and goes and goes and goes. And this is a really unique way, and again, it's used to blow off stories. It's used as like an ultimate way of wrapping up a long-standing angle. And it incorporates different styles of matches, which I really like, keeps things interesting. And as you say, Shawn Michaels and Triple H in 2002, I think it was Armageddon 02. Bit long in the tooth, but good match. And then you had Triple H and Austin 01. Bit long in the tooth, but good match.
Are we including like Gargano and Cole in this as well?
Yeah, that's a 3 stages of hell.
Yeah,
definitely. That's definitely 3 stages of hell. It's and that was like, again, long in the tooth, but a good match. I'll put him in lovely, lovely, lovely.
I'm going to put him in lovely.
The variety that match, the possibilities are endless in that particular one. I would one day, and I know it will never happen because, that's not how you do storytelling. I'd love one day to have a 3 stages of hell where somebody wins 2-0. We've got the final fall, if we need it, is going to be the Hell in a Cell on fire. Oh, we don't need it because he won 2 straight falls. But we've got the cell. No, we don't need it. It's fine. Just take it down. We don't need it. Not going to use it.
But I'd agree with you there. Just because while the final stretches of the final fall are very exciting, the bit before that's a bit of like, oh, they're both knackered, they're both dying. We're sort of going for a while. You got to make your way through that mud, that sludge to get to the fantastic conclusion. So yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely. I think it's just about fair.
Yeah.
Buried Alive.
Now this one, again, not pulled out very often. No one's ever truly buried alive forever, though. So, not that I would want that. Your finishes are very limited. The one thing that I think lets it down is that the finish to the match occurs away from the middle of the arena. I've always, with the exception of the Hardcore Championship, I think any match that involves, you can tell, because I always find the pop is less when a finish happens away from the ring, you know, and it kind of feels, it doesn't feel as special. But obviously you can't build a grave site in the middle of a wrestling ring, so I get it. And I'm looking at the match quality of Buried Alive matches. So we had like Undertaker and the Executioner. In Your House Buried Alive. That's a hard pass for me. Undertaker and Austin. Both were a bit haggard going into that, I remember, and it was a bit flat.
You do get your certain fans, like remember Big Show just catapulted Mankind off the SmackDown stage and he bounced into the grave.
Oh,
that was fantastic. That was a moment. Kane coming out with a digger to an explosion when Undertaker was trying to get in there, helping Vince McMahon win and respawning the dead man. I like that because I'm a big fan of Kane. I don't know if anyone else liked it, but but you're looking aside from those moments, and that they are fleeting in a Buried Alive match. It's a very sort of like, it's a bit of a restrictive gimmick, isn't it?
More often than not, I feel like the gimmick is there to give the Undertaker a holiday. That's kind of like basically, I feel like more often than not, a Buried Alive match is the Undertaker clocking out for a while and taking a few book days off holiday, because it always seems, more often than not, will seem to end with the Undertaker getting buried, maybe a lightning bolt striking it, maybe his hand sticking out at the end. So there's a predictability to a Buried Alive match. If you want one to watch, Undertaker Vince McMahon Survivor Series 2003, where Undertaker punches Vince in the head and Vince bleeds immediately. And it's just Vince getting battered by the Undertaker until Kane rocks up with a tractor. And then Undertaker gets done in.
And I tell you what though, a little thing about that match, in most Buried Alive matches, I don't, it might just be me in my weird ways, I hate how little dirt is put on someone to bury them. Whereas in that one with Kane, he has this massive digger and he just stands there doing Undertaker's pose while literally 1 million tons of dirt falls on the Undertaker's body. There's no way he's surviving that. That's why he came back as dead. I like that touch. Fantastic
I like
scenes.
that too. I like
More
that too.
More dirt, the better.
Should we put it in? I kind of want to put it either in top of Met or bottom of Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
I'll go top of All Right, because I do think how many we've seen. A few now, more than a few, but the moments you're thinking are like, wow, fantastic. They are few and far between, aren't they?
They are. Okay, but top of All Right.
Top of All Right. Yeah. We're moving on now, Tom, to an empty arena match.
So basically everything this year.
I think we should disqualify this year from the empty arena. Let's go back to Mankind versus The Rock, halftime heat. Let's go back to the other halftime heat match from NXT, I guess. That's a one. Does that count, or are we talking about something else here? Terry Funk, that one from back in the day.
The one you're thinking of from NXT, which is the one final beat. I mean, technically that's an empty arena match. It's a cinematic empty arena match. I guess we can count that. I liked the first. I liked both. I liked the Rock Mankind one. It felt special. And it's funny when you look back on that now, and one of the things that was blasted about that match, the first one, was as basically Mankind pinned the Rock using a forklift truck and a pallet. And at one point the camera angle is on top of the pallet. And it zooms in on the Rock's face as the truck comes down on him. And everybody went, "Oh, it's rubbish! Bro, what's that nonsense? That's not wrestling." Everybody got angry about it. Cut to 2020, cinematic wrestling matches are happening. And that is like the bare minimum of what we expect in terms of cuts. I enjoyed Rock Mankind. Was there more than Rock Mankind and Gargano Ciampa? Was the Terry Funk one that you mentioned?
But Terry Funk was from the 80s, wasn't it? I can't remember who he was against, but Terry Funk had one, because I've seen it with my own eyes. I can't remember who it was against.
Was it Jerry Lawler?
Maybe. Something like that. People will go wild in the comments here, Tom.
Yeah, they certainly will. But I'm going to put it in... I don't know if there's been enough to really give it a proper...
Should we go bearable?
Distinction.
Because I guess why are they done? Is it just so these two people can't be harming the rest of mankind who are in the building? The rest of humanity won't get in the way of this feud? Is that the sort of message we're getting across here?
I think I'm trying to remember why they decided to have an empty arena match, what the impetus was for it. But I can't quite remember why. I think whether it was just, we don't want to hurt anybody, we don't want anybody getting hurt when these two tear each other to pieces. Just due to the fact that the one that they did was good. See, it's wrong to put it in just about bearable.
Yeah, we'll go all right. Where?
Because I like the... Oh, what a dilemma. What a dilemma. We'll put it in all right. Let's not think about it anymore. We'll put it in all right.
Bottom of all right. They are all right when you watch them.
There's only been one, but with two, Cat and Gargano Ciampa, bottom all right.
I guess when we're in a time where fans in arena for every single match, there was something quite nice about the silence and all the resonating sounds of every strike and all that malarkey. But yeah, we've become used to that now. Falls count anywhere, Tom?
Oh, okay.
Always fun.
Always a fun match when done well. There's been some that have been a bit ropey, but the whole concept of taking the fight everywhere has been really good. First one was a bit crap. Far too much admin in the first Falls Count Anywhere match. It was Randy Savage and Crush. And they had a thing where if you got pinned outside the ring, you then had 60 seconds to get back in the ring. And if you did, then you won. If you didn't, then the match continued. Sort of like a weird hybrid of a Texas death match. Do you know what? They're a staple of wrestling. I want to put them in lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think
there's been enough good
fun.
ones, and it's like a bit of a wrestling historical thing. So,
and especially with us two being sort of, well, I was an Attitude Era kid. They're always fun in that, more so than anywhere else because of the nonsense you always used to see. Then we get to something that I've never ever liked, Tom, and that is a flag match.
Right. Yeah,
bin. It's got to be bin.
I'm with you. This has got to go in the bin. There's never been a good flag match.
They're always fun when you've got to put your flag in the thing, and then that's how you win. Whoa!
Just admin.
Yeah.
Match admin, and it worked. The one I'm thinking of, the one that springs to mind, is Bret Hart and the Patriot. Canada flag, American flag, and it works if it's country and country, but the matches are dull and the finish is very basic. Bin it off. I don't need another flag match.
I think it was Rusev and Cena was the one that's come to my mind, and that was just. Anyway, less said about that, the better. Blindfold matches, Tom.
When there's a reason to have it, great. When done with the right people, but otherwise it's just a bit of a joke. A
barrel of laughs when Nydia and Jamie Noble did it back in the day. And I've told this story a few times on this channel, but I'm going to tell it again. Me and my pal went to the WrestleMania Revenge Tour of 2004, a pay-per-view or two before. We had Jamie Noble and Nydia doing their blindfold match thing on the pay-per-view. We got to the WrestleMania Revenge Tour, and they did exactly the same match, step by step by step, at the live event. And me and my pal, having seen that pay-per-view beforehand, called the match a move ahead and baffled a lady next door. It was an amazing thing. We were like, I reckon she's going to do a sleeper hold now. She went and put a sleeper hold on there.
That's amazing.
How the hell do you know this?
Oh, that's amazing. I hope you never told her why you knew it.
No, we just sat there and laughed. It was fantastic.
Brilliant.
It's always great messing with people's minds, isn't it? But Triple H, who did Triple H have one against?
D'Lo Brown, sir.
D'Lo Brown, of course.
Because of reasons. That was a Raw roulette, I think. So it was just like, I'll just chuck that in there. The best blindfold match ever, hands down, Jake Roberts, Rick Martel. Because there was a reason for it to be a blindfold match. Martel blinded Jake the Snake Roberts with his arrogance cologne. Jake managed to get the sight back. And therefore said, right, Martel, I want you to experience the hell that I've been through at WrestleMania 7. We're going to have a blindfold match. You are both going to be blindfolded. You're going to see what it's like to live in the dark. And we snakes always do it better in the dark. Oh, Jake's a good promo.
God, it's like he's hero himself.
Oh, the blind leading the blind. But like the empty arena match, I feel like I can't judge it above everything else because the general concept of the match is quite...
repetitive. The two people in the ring sort of feel around for a bit. You have a comedy spot where someone goes and falls down, and then finally they lock up. And once you've seen one, you've seen them all, haven't you?
Yeah,
I guess. But,
I'd say put it in bearable.
Bearable, I think it's fine.
I don't put it in the bin, just only because the J. Roberts Martel one was so good from WrestleMania 7.
Iron Man match. Very divisive.
Iron Man match.
I like an Iron Man match as well. Maybe not a 60-minute one. When they're 30, I find them a lot better than me. I don't know if that's
30's
just me.
a cop-out, mate. 60. 60's better. I remember it was Miz and Morrison that did a 15 minutes of fame thing. And they faced, I think it was Hardcore Holly and Charlie Haas in a 15-minute Iron Man match. Like 15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 minutes taking the mic a bit. Like.
Just pointless. Iron Man match needs to be 60 minutes. But having said that, Sasha Banks and Bayley, phenomenal 30-minute Iron Woman match. Just phenomenal. Yeah. I want to put this in the best, personally.
I love
the build of. I love the way that most Iron Man matches build over time. I liked how the match. Quite often, the Iron Man matches will defy what I think will happen. In the sense, the first Iron Man match, WrestleMania 12, ended 0-0. Mm-hmm. You've got this new gimmick and you've got this new stipulation that you've added to it, where it's the most pins by the end of an hour. No one gets a pinfall or a submission in the whole hour. Like, this is the first time you do it. It's like, brave. Then and there was a few that became. Then there was like the Rock and Triple H one. And there was moments in that was great. There was the Rock Triple H one, Judgment Day 2000. My favourite bit, and it's one I've replicated in wrestling games since, because it's a good strategy, was where Triple H just clocked The Rock with a steel chair in front of the ref. The ref DQ'd Triple H. And then Triple H just pinned The Rock. Got a pinfall. Evened it out, but completely knackered him.
Yeah.
Great strategy.
Thinking man's wrestler, isn't he, Triple H, from back in the day? But there's one you've forgotten, Tom. It's Lesnar versus Angle from SmackDown.
I haven't forgotten it. I haven't forgotten it.
You're getting there, were you?
That was amazing. That was incredible. The finish where Angle had the ankle lock on. He needed to tie it to retain his title. And the ankle lock's on, and seconds are counting down. Then he grapevines it. And in 03, when Angle grapevined the leg, you were buggered. And he just held onto it, but the time ran out. And Lesnar just about hung in there. But that was a really brutal one, I remember, because Lesnar was multiple falls up at one point. And Angle had to fight back from underneath. It was really cool.
Yeah. So we're going from one extreme to the other. We are going from Iron Man match to bra and panties match, which for me, personally, has to get in the bin, because no matter, Tom, how many bra and panties match I would sit there and watch on my own in my bedroom, every single time my mum would walk in, she would see what was on the telly and she would give me that look, and that look still gives me shivers down my spine. So for me, it's getting in the bin just because of my life experiences with the bra and panties match.
I'll tell you who's a massive fan of Iron Man, of bra and panties matches. Iron Man bra and panties match. What a concept.
Got to get dressed up every fall.
Just quick, get dressed. Got 40 minutes left. I'd say he's a big fan of the old bra and panties match. SoCal Val, just to drop that name in. She was on Desert Island Graps this past week, and one of the matches she picked was Invasion 2001, Trish and Lita versus Tori and Stacey bra and panties match. Because it was one of the more technically proficient bra and panties matches that there's ever been. And they're of a time. Personally, I find it very awkward watching them now, because they are of a time.
Just there just to get lasses naked, aren't they? Yeah, that's all they're there for.
It's just a bit uncomfortable, you know. I'm happier that we're in a world now where, there's competitiveness in both divisions, and the women's title isn't just tantamount to stripping. I'm happy now as a grown-ass adult that this is a better world that we're in. So these need to get in the bin. I don't think historically they sit well. I don't think in terms of match quality they're great. I don't think there's anything to get at. If you do a titillation tier list, yeah, sure, stick it in at least the top of lovely.
Titillation tier list.
What would you put in a titillation tier list? But nah, this is a relic from the past that is probably best left and apologised for profusely. So get in the bin.
Fully agree. Cage matches.
Oh, mate. They've got to be the best.
Specifically, the WWE, like, you know, stick the cage on the side of the ring. They're a bit weird for me.
Really?
They're are they a bit of an afterthought? They're just sort of like drafted in there for a random episode of Raw. You never built to a big cage match in a pay-per-view anymore, do you?
Well, I think because compared to the stipulations that we have now, like the cage match is a bit old hat, and there's much bigger matches that you can have. You know, when we live in the same era as sort of the Elimination Chamber and Hell in a Cell, sort of, you know, steel cage match is like if you're offered. It's like when you're a kid and you love having, you know, turkey twizzlers and smiley faces for tea, but then as an adult somebody makes you a sirloin steak and chips cooked in fat and beef dripping chips, you know, like a big meal like that. Suddenly that doesn't seem as interesting anymore. So the steel cage match, like back in the day, was like a big finish to a major feud, but there's just bigger options now. But I want to based on its historical significance, put it in the best, because it has produced some really fun matches, and there's so many steel cage matches that are lost in the annals of time that I reckon if you do they have a steel cage playlist on the WWE network, because they should if they don't. I presume
they do, yeah. Bret and Owen, I guess, just deserves just off the back of that match. Never mind Jeff Hardy being silly from back in the day.
True story. The Bret and Owen match wasn't particularly as it wasn't as brilliant as people remember it to be. Watched it recently.
Really?
In my opinion, it wasn't as brilliant as people remember. It was still good, still very good, but there wasn't the intrigue in it. In terms of great cage matches, here's a lost classic of a steel cage match. Drop me.
Oh, he's gone. He's fallen.
Now you might not appreciate that on the call, but I just dropped the Skype phone that I'm using to see Ross's face with. There we go. Right. I'll give you a steel cage match that I think is a bit of a lost classic. Rikishi versus Val Venus. Fully loaded 2000 for the Intercontinental Championship. Features Rikishi doing a dive off the top of the cage.
We've all seen that replayed a million times, haven't we?
But yeah, if you want to watch the match it came from, it's that one.
Yeah, fully loaded 2000s is just a fantastic pay-per-view full stop, isn't it?
Jeez, what a show, top to bottom, just packed. Oh, I want to watch that now. Tier list.
I might watch after this as well.
There you go. If it's when we do ranked shows from 2000, which I presume we're doing on the YouTube channel, if that's not top or near the top, I'll be livid. Swear to God.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
If it's not near the top, I'll transfer to Triple Jump. I swear to God.
Who writes the scripts? Is it Justin? Get him told. I think it's Justin.
Actually,
I might be wrong there.
I'll speak to Justin in a couple of hours. I'll get him told.
So next up, we're moving on to Extreme Rules / Hardcore / Street Fight / all the slashes here, whatever you want to call them. Matches with weapons. Always a fun affair, aren't they?
They're always fun. This is just like I think the Extreme Rules match was born because WWF didn't want the word hardcore in their lexicon anymore because of the other connotations that it has. So Extreme Rules is basically their way of getting around that. And I think what made me sad was when it was brought in when they restarted ECW.
Yeah.
And for a while, every match was like an ECW style match, but then they decided, no, it's too much. Extreme Rules Extreme Rules match is an ECW style match, and we need to do it and make it special, so we don't do it all the time. So I'm kind of basing my time since then and then forward. But I think matches with crazy weapons and stuff as a way of continuing a feud are always fun. I agree with you. Yeah. I want to put it in Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
I'll put it in Lovely, Lovely, Lovely. It's especially just going back to the Attitude Era as well. The hardcore title back then is very much, what the 24/7 title should be now. Maybe with, a few less like Ivory putting the iron back on Tori's back, less stuff like that. Oof, that would still get me going to this day. But you know what I mean. Submission match, sorry.
Fine. I'm trying to think of a good submission match.
Bret and Austin?
Of course. How did I forget that one?
Natalya versus Shayna Baszler on Raw a few weeks ago.
Oh, the best! Better than all the rest.
They are weird though, aren't they?
It's just a standard match, but with a pinfall taken out of the equation. That's all that is. They've just turned pinfalls off in match settings. They're fine. I am very indifferent to a submission match.
I'm very much the same. They don't make me feel anything whatsoever when I watch them. Yes, Bret and Austin was obviously iconic for all the reasons that we've been through a million times on this YouTube channel, as I'm sure the rest of the YouTube channels have been through a million times. But outside of that...
The only time they're interesting is when you have a guy in one... Like I'm pretty sure John Cena was put in a submission match, and the thing was, hang on, but John Cena hasn't got any submission moves, and that was kind of the joke. Aha, you got no submission moves, and that's when he started doing the STF. He was like, oh, okay, now you've got a submission move. When a lot of the time that's the only real bit of joy that you get from it. Otherwise, if you're a wrestler with a good submission move, you're on the lookout for it in the whole match anyway. I think laser focusing in on it doesn't change that. So I sort of put it in all right. Like it's not good, it's not bad. I'm very indifferent to a submission match. We
have First Blood below a submission match, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah. Oh, I keep bringing up First Blood matches. It's in just about bearable.
Do you feel like
we're
going to get some grief, some backlash, if you will, for giving a shout to submission matches?
Probably. We always do
for giving it some grief to First Blood matches, rather.
Yeah, probably. There'll be someone thinking that's like the final match of a big feud. You need to put it in a higher tier just because of how severe they are. But yeah, they are limited, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They are. I think we're fine. Let's just ignore the comments and move on with our lives. Where are we going now? We're going to a Kiss My Foot / Kiss My Ass match.
Put this in the bin.
No, I am surprised you're saying that, just going off Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart.
It was just... the Jerry Lawler Bret Hart feud was ropey at best. Kiss My Foot, the Kiss My Foot stipulation was just a bit grim. The Kiss My Arse thing, which was a Sheamus, wasn't it? Sheamus and Ziggler. Kiss My Arse match. No one ever ends up doing the thing anyway. They have to get forced into doing it, or doing it while they're passed out or something. So, a Kiss My Foot match. I'm not here to kink shame. But I want to put this match in the bin. Yeah,
I guess the visual of the foot going in the mouth, as we saw with Lawler, is a bit like, whoa. But
Exactly. We can't even find the words. We can't even find the words, mate.
Yeah. Boiler Room Brawl.
Ooh, I want to put this in lovely, lovely, lovely.
Always a favourite on the early SmackDown games.
Yes, flipping was as well. And it was just, it felt like SummerSlam '96, where you had the Boiler Room Brawl. And it was Undertaker and Mankind, and the whole thing was you had to get back to the ring and presumably tag Paul Bearer. Or put him on a pole or something like that. But it was in '96. It felt so wild and so special, because that sort of thing didn't happen in the mid-90s, where you had a match that started in the bowels of the arena and they had to fight their way to the ring. It was so unorthodox, and they never used it too much to the point where we got fed up with it. Like the Boiler Room Brawl idea was always really cool, and it's always a bit different because boiler rooms are different each time. So you can mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I liked it. I want to put it in lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think it deserves to go in lovely, lovely. I think it's, Mankind in those matches as well. The things he would used to do, falling off that massive ladder onto the floor and stuff like that. He always used to put his body through hell. But more so in Boiler Room Brawl matches. I think I'm losing the will to live here, Tom. I'm really tired.
Oh, no, don't be tired.
I need a shot of something in my veins. Let's pick it up now.
Do you want to get a drink of something and then come back to this?
No, we'll be fine.
Are you sure?
Power through. I'm just being a bit of a miserable bastard.
I can make you a drink. Kettle's right there.
Oh, can you pass it through the screen?
I can indeed.
Right. Parking lot brawl, ballroom room, backlot brawl, whatever you want to call it. That was the name they had in the 90s with whoever it was, with the ring of cars. That thing, those stuff with the cars. Cena and Eddie did one as well, didn't they?
Are we just lumping all matches that involve some kind of parking bay together?
Yeah.
Because you've gone backlot brawl, car park brawl, Iron Circle match. You've covered there.
Was it in the build-up to Dream versus Cole? It was a fantastic quote from William Regal. It's like, I need to put this match in a setting that is befitting of both men.
The car park of Full Sail.
The car park.
I'd be offended by that. I need to put this match in a place that's befitting of these two men. It's going to be a bin match. Sound off, Regal.
They're coming up later. Spoilers.
I'm going to put this in just about bearable, right?
Even with Goldust and Roddy.
Goldust and Roddy was the best one. Everything else I feel like has been a bit like the Iron Circle stuff with Shamrock and Blackman, which I'm
that was the one from the 90s.
Yeah, that was.
Well, the late 90s.
Then Guerrero and Cena had a similar affair with the cars around them. And then the Velveteen Dream Adam Cole one, I was very disappointed by.
It was It was so hard to watch with the camera cuts and the lights from the cars just shining behind, and whoever put that together needs to get some glasses.
Well, sadly, it was the same people that put together the Boneyard match. It was the same team, and it was just I guess they were just tired. Just sitting at it off. I think Kevin Dunn leaned a bit too heavily on the switch on this occasion.
Aye.
But it was I like the idea of those matches. The idea that like this is like a bit rough around the edges, fighting away from a ring. But they've always just been a bit long and underwhelming. So I want to stick them in just about bearable. And I'm only putting them there based on how strong Goldust and Piper was. Because that
when you sit on the OJ footage being used.
That as well, stunning. And then fighting back into the ring and then having Piper strip Goldust and he's wearing women's underwear underneath all his stuff.
Yeah, that bit was a bit like...
Weird finish. But regardless, the whole Hollywood backlot brawl was something that didn't happen very often, and it felt very unique. It felt very special. And it was one of the early cinematic matches. So if you ever want to go back and see where it all began, somewhere like that is one of the first cinematic wrestling matches.
Yeah. So now we're moving on to something that's really synonymous with WCW, but WWE have had a few examples down the years. We saw Bayley forgetting how to use a kendo stick. We've seen Elias plucking a guitar and hitting it off somebody. Yoshitatsu and Tyson Kidd had one involving a toy leg. Item on a pole matches, Tom.
Right, I am putting the pole match in the bin. Right? You could argue, they're varied. Yeah, but you know the match is going to continue until they use an weapon. More often than not, the item that is on said pole doesn't end the match. It just allows you to incorporate said thing in the match. So it does. So you know for a fact that the match isn't going to end. And I know the argument would be, well, an Iron Man match you don't know is going to end for 60 minutes. No, but there's so much that happens in around there that it's fine. You know the match isn't going to end with a pole match until they climb up, grab the thing, hit them with the thing, maybe lose the thing, or something like that. And more often than not, the items on said pole have been very underwhelming, i.e. Although the Yoshitatsu leg, action figure leg, made sense. That was the story, that was an ECW bit of nonsense.
How dare he snap that leg off?
There was the pink slip on the pole, which I remember between Mankind and The Rock. They were fighting for P45. There's been so many, and they've all just been. Bleh. I remember the nightstick on a pole match from back in the day, Bossman and Nails.
Yeah. And
whoever got the nightstick could use it, and I remember being fearful for Bossman's life if Nails got hold of a nightstick. I was terrified as a child. But the matches are overall uninspiring. Bin it!
The confusion as well, because I remember one of the more recent ones, the confusion was, did the person win when they got the thing, or did the person win when they used the thing? Yeah, that's the confusion of that aspect as well. Just puts me off those matches.
They changed They moved the goalpost quite a bit on pole matches.
Yeah, suit the narrative. They never do that, do they? Anyway, moving on to a very, very recent gimmick thing that's been brought into wrestling: the NXT Fight Pit.
Ooh, now I really liked the Fight Pit. I really did. There's not been enough Fight Pit matches for me to get a proper opinion, so I want to put it in lovely, 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 rather than the best.
Yeah. But it was a fantastic debut edition.
The aesthetic, the cage with the platform, the way it just encompasses the whole ringside area, the right people to have that match. This is, and I said this on NXT Graded, where I said that this is like a gateway drug for blood sport. Like if you want to sample Bloodsport, like if you enjoyed Thatcher and Riddle, you'll like Bloodsport matches, like the Bloodsport shows. It's that sort of style, and it's the closest that they've come to it. It was built so beautifully as well. And then this is what I mean about having matches that make sense for a story. Like it isn't just gone, it's Bloodsport match o'clock, so we best chuck them in the Fight Pit. And it was the fact that Thatcher and Riddle fell out. Thatcher and Riddle had a really close quarters wrestling match, both leaning on that sort of MMA style grappling catch as catch can experience. Riddle won via pinfall. Thatcher was livid and went, right, we're having a match where you don't pin. You either tap out or get knocked out. It's either tap out or knockout. And then Riddle went, I'll tell you what, then let's put it in a cage. And the fight pit was born because the feud required it. And that's why I liked it. And then the match itself was really good. Kurt Angle as the ref was a nice little touch as well. Kurt Angle with two of Timothy Thatcher's teeth in his pocket for most of that match. I want to put it in lovely, lovely, lovely.
Yeah, it could. I hope it does become NXT's like Attitude Era's Hell in a Cell. I hope it becomes the final stipulation for the feud.
You know what? I hope we don't see another one for ages. I hope the next time we see it, it's Timothy Thatcher defending his NXT championship. But I don't want that to happen for a while either. I don't want to see another one for a while.
Yeah, I don't want to see them too regularly, but I just hope it becomes the final. When things get so bad, you have to go into the fight. Because I was really worried when I heard that, Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle are going to fight in a cage. I was thinking, oh no, they're going to do a worked MMA style, UFC style fight, and it's going to be naff because it's going to be worked and not real. But then they pulled it out the bag and it was fantastic.
They were great.
What it had to be, it was great. Then we have, and I need to move myself away from the microphone a bit. War Games! War Games!
War Games!
War Games!
So are we talking the War Games over time? Or...
I guess we've got to go WWE since we're going WWE stipulation matches here. The NXT version of War Games!
Ooh. I want to put that in lovely, lovely, lovely too.
I like it as well. We've only had three at this stage, and they've all been good. The second one was the best by some distance, I thought, just because of the tactics involved. But all three have been. They haven't had a bad one yet. I'm not a stinker.
No, they've all been. And the way that the way they build as the match progresses, I've always really enjoyed as well. I think they dress it up so well. And the last War Games, the War Games event where we had the men's and the women's one, I thought the women's one had an incredible story to it. Like Dakota Kai wiping out Tegan Nox, and then all of a sudden you realise that Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley have got zero backup now. They were getting swamped as it was, and then it was Dakota Kai's turn, and she goes, "Nah, sod you both," batters Tegan Nox, and then all of a sudden you got Regan and Belair going, "Oh, it's just us two then." Because that's everybody, and the way they fought through it. Oh no, was Candice LeRae in amongst it as well? I might be speaking out of turn. I think LeRae might have been in there as well.
I think she was, yeah.
I think it was, yeah. But either way, it was good. I liked it, and I liked the whole concept of the match. Nicely done in NXT. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Where do you stand on the cages on the entrance ramp?
I like them. I think that it's a nice device that you can use to show that people are there, but they can't get involved too early. Like, because otherwise, if you didn't have those, you could just go, why can't anybody just run out and just jump in now and get involved? Like, I like putting them in shark cages because it keeps them from. It sells the whole idea of we don't want anybody causing shenanigans. So you're going to wait your turn to get in this match. You're going to get in that cage.
Because I was worried because when they introduced that, obviously I like the aspect of the aesthetic of the people walking around the ring in the WCW version, chomping at the bit to get in the cage. I thought I added something, but as you say, it keeps the law and order, keeps the rules, whatever I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. Let's move on. Survivor Series, the traditional 5-on-5 elimination tag team matches, always a fantastic thing.
I love it. The best. Yeah, great way of wrapping up lots of feuds at the same time. Lately, it's obviously been very Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT heavy.
But we all care about those brands and the one time of year they get to fight each other. Just the one time of year, Tom.
It's weird. It's like when Middlesbrough went to Wembley in the Cup final, and all of a sudden everybody in Borough became Borough fans. Like, shut up! You're not really. But when done well, they're really fun matches. And like with Beat the Clock, how I said it's funny how all of a sudden very basic moves suddenly take on like twice the amount of power that they normally do. You know, I've seen people getting pinned off DDTs in Survivor Series matches. Yeah. But there's been bad ones. There have been some terrible ones. But more often than not, they're great. When they're built and they're sold properly, they're great. The men's one that you and I watched, Don't You Forget About Me. That one phenomenal time we had there, and it was just because it was put together so well. When put well, they're the best.
Can you believe we're sat like 7 months removed from that match happening?
Mad, isn't it? Mad. I can't get over that I've been with you guys for like a year now.
Yeah, time is flying, even though time is going really slowly at the same time.
Time flies when you're stuck inside for 3 months.
So I've put this one as a broad term, it might be a bit too broad, as cinematic masterpieces.
Oh, okay. Now, personally...
And that might be a bit unfair because they've all been different in their own way.
Yeah, which is why I don't want to put them in the best, because there have been some wobbly ones.
The NXT one with Gargano and Ciampa being the prime example. Took itself too seriously. Did you? I thought it took itself way too seriously.
Well, I think that's kind of the modus operandi for the NXT cinematic matches, is they are quite serious. I think that's how they're different to the WWE ones, which are a little bit daft. A bit of light and shade, isn't it? But I would have put them in lovely. Because I like... All right, would you have put these matches on in a normal circumstance? Absolutely not. No, because anything that draws... if people pay tickets to go to an arena show and you have something that is predominantly not in the arena, then what are you buying a ticket for? To watch things on a screen? But here's the thing. No one's paying to go at the moment. There's no one there paying money to go and watch a show. So you might as well have some fun with it. And also, you don't want everything to be in the same... at least, up to recently that's changed, because now you've got NXT recruits and superstars in the crowd, so you've got a bit more action. Alternatively, you don't want it just to be like a very stale, like a very clinical, empty venue for every single match. So a cinematic match breaks things up and actually adds to the whole distraction from it. WWE keeps saying, we are offering a distraction from everything going on in the world right now. And whenever you see an empty venue or the performance centre, it doesn't distract you, it reminds you. However, Undertaker and AJ Styles turned up, fighting in a graveyard. I was fully distracted from the world for a good 20 minutes. So that's where they came through. I want to put them in lovely. And I hope that when all this blows over, that we don't just shut the door on cinematic wrestling matches, because I've really enjoyed some of the not all of them, as you've not enjoyed One Final Beat, and that's fine, that's your prerogative. I didn't really enjoy the backlot brawl.
No.
I thought that was a bit weak. I thought Money in the Bank was wonderful fun. I thought the Cena Wyatt match, the House of Fun, wasn't even a wrestling match. It was
still not sure what it was.
It's a form of weird art, wasn't it?
That's the beauty of it.
But I hope there's a place for them when we come at the other side of this. So I want to put it lovely.
Especially with Wyatt as well. I think once a year, maybe once every couple of years, that leaves himself open to it. As long as it's not like the House of Horrors. That was on the bad side. I think that's where it comes down from the best as well, when we got like the House of Horrors with Randy and Bray from back in the day.
The New Day Wyatt compound thing was a bit shonky as well.
Yeah, but when they do get it right, they are fantastic, aren't they? But second to last, Tom, we're finally there. Casket matches.
I want to put casket matches into... Let's put them in lovely.
Do you reckon?
No, I don't actually. I'm not sold on that, am I? I don't sound sold at all.
I think that is it all right or just about bearable? Because they are, by and large, Undertaker, 10 minutes, beat the guy down, put them in the casket. You've got two options. Either it's the Undertaker, beat the guy down, chuck him in the casket, thanks, goodbye, or Undertaker gets pummeled by a million other people, gets put in a casket, and Marty Jannetty dresses as the Undertaker and flies to the ceiling. So there's your two options for how a casket match ends. Kane sets fire to him and goes, "Hey, there you go."
And JR goes, "The casket's on fire! The casket's on fire!"
I love that shot where the casket's on fire and they've just taken the picture from the right angle where it just looks like Kane's just going like that towards the casket, sticking his two fingers in.
Have it, mate. Stick that up your pipe. Okay, I'm not going. Lovely is too high for the casket match. Although it is the only match that has featured Chuck Norris.
Yeah. That's a blast from the past, isn't it?
Survivor Series 94, which we're getting up to on the Cultaholic Classic Review podcast in a couple of weeks. We'll be watching that. We'll be doing a watch along for that, and you can join me and Justin Henry whilst we do. Put it in all right.
all right, aren't they? They're all right.
They're all right.
It's nice that we don't see them too frequently, and I guess, yeah, when the story dictates, they are a nice thing to see. It's always nice to see an Undertaker in a coffin. It just feels right, doesn't it? It just feels right.
It suits him.
Yeah, and rounding things off quite fittingly, Thomas, we have a dumpster match.
I like it. It's kind of like a rough alternative to the casket match.
Yeah. We always have to hark back to Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack and the New Age Outlaws and getting pushed off the stage and Jim Ross claiming they might have died and stuff like that. It's always a fantastic visual. Yeah, they are what they are, aren't they?
There's been two, wasn't there? There's been Cactus Jack, Chainsaw Charlie and the New Age Outlaws. And it turned out that New Age Outlaws won because Jack and Charlie used the wrong dumpster. You know, first world problems. And the other one I think it was X-Pac and Road Dogg versus the Dudley Boys?
Yeah, at WrestleMania.
Tables and dumpsters match? Or dumpster and tables match? It might have been a dumpster match.
I think we're at WrestleMania, wasn't it? WrestleMania 2000?
No. It was after that.
No, it was the ladders. What am I talking about here?
I think it might have been Backlash or Judgment Day where they did that.
Yeah,
King of the Ring. Well, I think King of the Ring, actually. King of the Ring 2000 seems to ring a bell.
It's the year 2000.
Put them in all right. I mean, actually.
Nah, they're too high. It's bearable?
Bearable. Bottom of bearable.
They're always fun, but they are what they are, aren't they? Trying to get two men in a bin.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
The age-old story. Trying to get two men in a bin.
There we go. We've come to the end of this tier list. I'm very sorry I've run out of steam towards the end there, Tom. I'm not doing a proper service to this tier ranking thing.
It's a long tier, Gary.
Anyway, we'll not bother ranking things in the tier. Let's just go into the best tier and find out what the best stipulation is. We'll work our way up. Ladder matches to TLC. Is a TLC match better than a ladder match?
Yes.
I would agree as well. TLC above a ladder. So we have Royal Rumbles, Tom, or Royal Rumbles above ladder matches and above TLC matches. I'm going to say they are.
Yes.
Of course they are.
Royal Rumble above.
Iron Man matches, are they above a ladder match?
No.
Are they below a cage match?
Yes.
Are they below a traditional Survivor Series match?
Yes.
Yes. Just about. Let's just go through lovely, just to see if anything has moved up to the best in hindsight. Elimination Chamber. Okay. I think it's fair. Championship Scramble. Haven't been used too much. 3 Stages of Hell. Could that be moved up to the best tier?
No.
Falls Count Anywhere. Could that move up to the best tier?
No.
Hardcore match.
No.
Street Fight.
Stay.
Extreme Rules. Boiler Room Brawls.
Stay where it is. I'm fine with that being lovely.
What types?
Stay.
Then we've got the NXT Fight Pit and the cinematic things. I think they're fair enough there. That brings this tier ranking malarkey to an end for this week. Again, I apologise.
So does this confirm that the Royal Rumble is the greatest WWE gimmick match ever?
The Royal Rumble, in our opinion, Thomas, we're sat here, is the greatest stipulation that WWE do. Pat Patterson, have a pat on the back.
To all the people who see that and say we are wrong, I say fight us. But only enter the fight in 2-minute intervals.
And keeping, of course, a 2-metre distance.
Absolutely.
That's it. Royal Rumble is the greatest stipulation match in the history of WWE. That just sounds right, doesn't it? Of course it does.
Perfect.
There we have it, Tom. Any closing thoughts on this tier ranking thingy?
I forgot how many gimmick matches there were in WWE. And I'm glad that we bookend it with the worst that is a strap match, and we end on the best note saying the Rumble is the greatest.
Yeah,
that seems right to me.
I'm going to apologise for running out of steam and apologise for thinking a dumpster match took place at WrestleMania 2000. I'm sure I'll never, ever, ever live that down. Bring on the comments. I can take them. I'll see you next time.
Love you, bye.